Come on, Ursaring. Come on. Oh, man.
Hey, you! Yes, you. Let me ask you a question. What's the best bear in Pokemon? It's a question researchers have discussed for thousands of years. If your answer to the best Pokebear question is Snorlax, then you're probably about as old as I am. If your answer to that question is Beartic, then you probably love Gen 5. Same goes for Pangoro and Gen 6. And if your answer to that question was any of the unevolved forms of the bears, then congratulations, you're probably right. But if you play a lot of online competitive Pokemon, your answer to that question was probably one of these three monstrosities. Urshifu, Blood Moon Ursaluna, and I'm gonna throw in Snorlax as well. It definitely has quite the niche. If you're playing competitive Pokemon and your favorite bear isn't one of these three, then one of these is still bound to be the bear you most use when you battle. And why wouldn't you? All three of these bears have plenty of competitive viability. Well, I'll tell you why you wouldn't. You wouldn't because you've discovered that there's another bear that can wreak absolute havoc on the competitive scene. And that would be the pure normal type, unevolved crown jewel of bear Pokemon, Ursaring. So today I'm going to be showing you how I took the underused Smokey the Bear, gave him a creative competitive build, while surrounding him with other underused, underpowered misfits of Pokemon, and managed to climb all the way up the VGC doubles ladder to Master Ball rank. And here's how I did it. So, how do we get Ursaring to actually pose a threat in VGC doubles? The answer seems simple in theory and gets a whole lot more complicated in practice. To set the table for you, I'm gonna go over my most important rule for this challenge. I'm not gonna be using any overpowered or overused Pokemon. Your definition might be a little bit different than mine, but essentially I'm straying away from anything that's overly popular right now in the meta. This, in my opinion, is a much more satisfying way to play the game and puts me in a position where I have to be creative and efficient with my team. It also puts Smokey the Ursaring in a position where he not only has to deal damage, but also support the rest of the team and simultaneously surprise my opponent. Okay, so at first glance you see Ursaring's high attack stat, low speed stat, and the guts ability. And you're like, oh, this is gonna be really easy. I'll just slap a Flame Orb on Ursaring, put him on a Trick Room team, and I'm in business. But what you don't realize is that the business next door has Prankster Tornadus to control speed and a team filled with overly powerful Pokemon. So while you're trying to counter the speed control and make sure Ursaring gets set up with a burn, your opponent has already dealt a considerable amount of damage. Even if you manage to get a clean Trick Room off, your opponent might just be running Amoonguss to Trick Room again and reverse the entire strategy. So I've been tasked with taking a Pokemon that has never been a realistic option in the competitive scene, making it work within a team of underpowered Pokemon, all while facing a bunch of overpowered Pokemon. You can see how this is gonna get complicated. Well, at least I'm not using a Quaxley team anymore. Got him! Now, in order to make a team like this work, each Pokemon in the group needs to have a defined role designed entirely around what strategies are currently popular in the meta. This is how I landed on an Ursaring holding the Eviolite with a Dark Terra and heavy defensive investment with a diverse moveset to provide coverage and help out the rest of the group. The Eviolite provides obvious defensive advantages, but it pairs really well with Ursaring for two different reasons. Number one, Ursaring has a high enough attack stat that I feel like I can just invest everything in the defensive side, turning Ursaring into an absolute tank. Number two, Ursaring is a normal type, and normal types are capable of utilizing the Eviolite far more than other types. You see, not only do normal types only have the one weakness in fighting, they're also given vast and diverse move pools. This means that I can adapt our moveset to whatever Pokemon I think I'm going to be seeing. In Ursaring's case, we're going with a moveset with high horsepower for electric types and to help out with Incineroar, Body Slam for stab coverage, and crucially, we're bringing along Crunch to pair nicely with our Terra and absolutely obliterate any psychic teams. Close combat was always an option, but I can't really afford any defensive drops with Ursaring, so it quickly became not an option. Rounding out the moveset, I knew it would be crucial for Ursaring to help out the other members of the team, and that comes in the form of Helping Hand, which has an even higher priority than moves like Fake Out and Prankster Tailwind. So the other teams are gonna have Pokemon like Blood Moon Ursaluna with his Blood Moon Laser Beam, and Urshifu with his Surging Strikes. And what does Smokey have? Well, buddy, he's got the power of friendship. Speaking of Ursaring's friends, Let's meet him. The first homie that I'm gonna be introducing to you is the unassuming Comfey. Out of all the Pokemon that I use for this team, I actually saw Comfey the most on opposing teams. This is partially due to the fact that Comfey has a wide variety of tools at its disposal, but I would imagine the biggest reason that I saw Comfey on opposing teams is because it's a stone cold, certified Urshifu killer. Perhaps you may know, but my experience doing this challenge taught me that not a lot of people know about Comfey's ability Triage. This allows the little lay of flowers to move faster than just about everybody, so long as you're using a healing move. And more importantly, the move Draining Kiss, along with a Terra or a Helping Hand, allows little Comfey to take care of Urshifu. Yep. You heard that correctly. The secret to taking out the most prominent and competitive threat is the little lay of flowers from Alola. Throw a focus sash on a little fella, and you're about to do some serious damage. Next up, I'd like to introduce you to the hypnosis-inducing, drought-causing, and smoking hot Fergie the Ninetails. Now you can see from Fergie's moveset here that she can be an absolute headache for opponents, but what pulls this strategy entirely together is the wide lens. I used it on Polysnow, my Politoad in the last challenge I did, but Fergie really perfected this strategy. I'm finally able to hit Will-O-Wisp at a decent rate, and occasionally I get really lucky with the Hypnosis, which can just win games. I invest heavily in HP and special attack, so Fergie can dish out hits and also take them. You can call it poetic justice, you can call it Fergalicious, either way you're not wrong. The last member of the permanent group that I'm going to be introducing is Dirty Dan the Pawmot. I'm going to give him a little bit more love than the last challenge because he absolutely pops off in this video. My friend Dirty Dan here is an Iron Fist Pawmot, meaning that punching moves are going to hurt a lot. Another thing the current meta seems to not have figured out is that, yes, while Pawmot can pack a hard punch, he's a lot faster than a lot of your favorite Pokemon, including the mighty Urshifu, who rarely sees its death coming in the face of a Pawmot. The Protect is there essentially to stall on a Flutter Mane turn, and the Ghost Terra is a nice surprise for anybody who thinks they can set up an extreme speed, normal Terra Dragonite. Okay, so the last two members of the initial group I'll introduce together. I don't mind mentioning that they're not permanent, because I think the real spoiler would be giving away the replacements at this point. So we've got a Chlorophyll Victory Bell and a Thick Fat Titan. Victory Bell is going to be holding a Life Orb to deal maximum damage, and the Weather Ball in the Sun absolutely packs a punch. This thing hits like a special attacking missile and surprised a lot of people in the lower tiers. Lastly, we've got my trusty Thick Fat Titan, and a Thick Fat Titan coupled with an Assault Vest is like a cockroach in a nuclear explosion. The thing's just not gonna die. But I ended up leaving the ice moves that I was using on Titan for my previous few challenges, and that obviously doesn't pair very well with my Sun team here. So there you have it. That's our initial group. Outside of a little bit of move shuffling, this team would remain the same for quite some time. Probably far too long. I'm able to quickly ascend out of the beginner and Pokeball tiers in just a handful of battles. But I reach the barren wasteland that is the Great Ball tiers, and problems begin to arise. The truth is, I'm no professional competitive player. In fact, I'm quite bad. Ursaring wasn't initially the psychic killing machine that it would become later on. I'm unable to properly use Titan because of my reliance on the sun, and battling in the Great Ball tiers is like playing the craziest Texas Hold'em player ever. You just have no idea what you're gonna see. This, coupled with the fact that, again, I'm bad, led to me having to really slog it out in the Great Ball tiers. I've been playing competitively for about a year, so I don't have this vast library of knowledge on things like abilities, and there's a huge chunk of years where I just wasn't playing Pokemon, so I don't even know what some of these dudes want to do. And well, it starts to show. I can get to Master Ball, I know it! I go through 20 battles, then 30 battles. 30 battles turns to 50 battles, then 70. And every 15 or 20 battles, I give a little update on my psychological well-being. It's driving me mad. I'm actually starting to not believe it. And very much like the Quaxley challenge before this one, it starts to drive me insane. But I'm gonna get there, I swear. But then suddenly, it happened. I had an epiphany. Squirtle section. Yeah. This shiny Squirtle, at the time of recording, is nearing 4 years of age, and I believe was hatched during the COVID-19 pandemic. I always knew I would eventually want to use this Squirtle for this channel at some point, and after browsing over moveset possibilities, Blastoise became an obvious choice for the team. What I find is that I can give Blastoise Fake Out. First of all, I could be wrong, but I don't expect anyone to see the fake out from Blastoise coming. He's also faster than Incineroar, so I can shut him up for a turn. I also see the Weather Ball, which with my Sun team will obviously catch people off guard.
Nice.
I move the Assault Vest over and invest in some bulk, and normally Blastoise is shooting water out of his cannons. In this case, it's gonna be Steel and Fire. So my climb from Great Ball to Ultra Ball and then Ultra Ball to Master Ball were driven by 2 hot streaks that coincided with 2 changes on the team. Of course, Ursaring is a massive contributor throughout the whole process, but we're gonna be highlighting these 2 hot streaks. The first stretch of battles occurs immediately after the Blastoise addition to the team, and let me tell you, we get hot fast. I'm not exactly the most confident heading into these battles, which you will see, but the hot streaks I'm about to show you illustrate exactly why these teams are so much fun and effective. Without further ado, let's get to work. My heroic climb from Great Ball to Ultra Ball, unfortunately, really begins on battle number 97 with this team. Let's check in on how I'm feeling.
So here's the deal. I'm getting way too close to the Quaxley numbers. I've said it before, but at this point where it's threat level midnight. So this is gonna be my last hurrah. I've made a Blastoise from this shiny Squirtle that I've had in the back of the artillery for months now. Shit, almost a couple years really. And I'm gonna give this ladder climb one more try. So let's see how it goes.
Yeah, not exactly the most confident pump up speech right there. Okay, so looking back on the first battle in this sequence,
All right, let's do this thing.
which I lose, I'm a little salty because I made some pretty good plays initially, but by the end of it, my opponent had completely outclassed me with good switches and timely protects. Whatever, it's a warm-up. In the next battle, hey look, we both got Comfey. My opponent brings an Arcaludon with seemingly no rain support, which is kind of necessary if you're going to be spamming his electric move, and I'm pretty easily able to play around that. In battle number 99, I lead with the OG duo Ursaring and Comfey, and absolutely body the majority of this guy's team with him. Comfey eventually goes down, but with a little help from Victory Bell, we're able to roll away with the win. And ladies and gentlemen, Smokey was on the battlefield the entire time. This Ursaring does not have Protect, obviously isn't fully evolved, and can't hit anything with stab super effective damage, and was still able to impose an offensive threat and absorb hits. You just love to see it. I'm 2-1 since the Blastoise edition, and this next battle will be battle 100. And as you can see from this video here, I was 40-60 after 100 battles when I did this challenge with a Quaxley team. If I can't at least improve on that record by 1 battle with this team, then I might as well just hang up the controllers and walk away. Let's get into it. So Caitlyn has an interesting team here. This feels like one of those weird, off-the-wall Great Ball tier teams that I was mentioning earlier. But I do see the Dragonite, and I immediately think a normal Terra is coming, so I prepare for that. This is one of the few battles in this entire run that I didn't bring Ursaring, but I think you'll forgive me once you see how much damage this dude causes. I lock in Blastoise and Pawmot, who have proven to be a good starting duo, and bring Ninetales and Victory Bell because I don't really see them changing the weather with that team. To my surprise, she leads Toedscruel and Cloyster. I'm not exactly sure what she wants to do with Cloyster, maybe Rain Dance or something, but Toedscruel is just overall annoying with its healing capabilities, so we've got a weird one here. I fake out Toedscruel to avoid a grass or ground move, and close combat the Cloyster because Pawmot punches are almost certain death. So we shatter the Cloyster's shell, and Caitlyn brings out the Dragonite, so I'm thinking, here comes the normal Terra. At this point, I'm running a body press with Blastoise, so I risk going for damage on Dragonite, and Ice Punch the Toedscruel looking for that 4x weakness kill. I also hit the Ghost Terra with Pawmot, looking to avoid the extreme speed from Dragonite.
Oh baby.
And Toedscruel goes down. I see the Dragon Dance, but I feel like I have the tools to take this thing down. In comes Cinderace, and I realize something. I haven't taken a lick of damage. I don't care if he has a Dragon Dance Dragonite up, I cannot blow this. But somehow, on this turn, I nearly do. I switch in Ninetales, thinking let's get some weather up, and maybe I'm faster than Dragonite, and just close combat with Pawmot.
That's not good.
I was going to say this turn could not have gone worse, but holy shit, that defensive investment on Ninetales really paid off. But it's time to regroup here, and I gotta figure out a way to save this thing. I opt to go with Blastoise, so let's bring in the cannons. So Cinderace is now a Steel type, so while obvious, an Overheat feels like my best option here. But Fake Out could essentially buy me a free turn if Cinderace goes down, so that's the move. And the plan is executed perfectly. Cinderace goes down, and we should now have Battle 100 locked up. I just go for damage on both sides, and Caitlyn had no idea Weather Ball Blastoise was coming. And thank Jesus I got that win. Alright, so that's 3 in a row. I'm starting to climb a little bit, and I'm in nervous mode for my team selection on the next battle. Luckily, it looks like my opponent's gonna bring a team that's relying on Psychic Surge and a Psychic Terrain. So you know it's time to bring Smokey. I lead Ursaring and Comfey, and bring Pawmot and Blastoise along. So my opponent leads Psychic Surge and Didi, as predicted, and a Psychic Seed Sceptile, that was not predicted. I consider hitting the Dark Terra, but I hate hitting Terras this early, and I don't see the Armarouge that would want a Expanding Force, so I risk saving the Terra, using the power of Friendship that is helping hand, and crunching on Indeedie's side. I know the Sceptile is getting stat boost, but getting Indeedie out of the way is my priority. And so, here's the switch.
Fuck.
And I'm thinking this might just work out in my favor. So the Sceptile goes for the Bulldoze, activating Armarouge's weak armor, and I'm absolutely loving this. After all those stat boosts and stat lowering sounds, Armarouge hits the grave. So here comes the Iron Boulder, and this might sound crazy, but I'm not very scared of it at this point. I know Ursaring can live just about anything, so I just opt for a double attack. I've forgotten about the Psychic Seed at this point, but Iron Boulder takes some serious damage, and it's really decision time. I've got all my Pokemon, but he's got all the stat boosts and is threatening Psychic Terrain for the entire battle. And here, I make what I think is one of the best plays in this run. Pawmot can't switch into anything really. There is just too much attack investment on his side. But maybe in this case he can live a steel attack, as I know he wants Ursaring gone. It's time to get risky, and he doesn't seem to think Comfey is much of a threat. So I'm just gonna Pollen Puff the scary robot guy instead of the scary lizard guy. We get the prediction entirely correct. Sceptile goes for the Leer because this guy is apparently addicted to stat increases and decreases. And the little Lay of Flowers Pollen Puffs the Iron Boulder into the Shadow Realm.
Yes.
I'm thinking it's not quite over, but luckily my opponent sees the writing on the wall, and that's gonna be a winner.
Yes. Is that it?
I actually think I might have gotten to Ultra Ball here, but as you can see,
Oh, that's so bad.
I do not. Now obviously, I'm not happy here, but I don't have any reason to be anything but optimistic. This is my time, and we're gonna get it done. It does seem like every time I get to this point, the VGC algorithm just spits out a team that has perfect matchups against my team, or I just straight up choke. Not this time though. I know I'm one win away from Ultra Ball, and I love my opponent's team. Obviously they have options, but I can smell the Alolan Ninetales coming from a mile away. I'm gonna stash my own Ninetales in the back so I can ruin his day, and lead Blastoise and Pawmot with Smokey in the back too. Let's do it. So he leads Heatran and Alolan Ninetales, and if I'm being honest, I couldn't be happier with how this battle has started. There is no way he sees the fake out Blastoise coming. So I'm gonna fake out Ninetales to prevent Aurora Veil and close combat Heatran. And this is one hell of a start.
Okay.
I haven't taken any damage, and we're about to unleash the power of climate change on this guy. Golden Go comes in, and it provides a perfect opportunity to make it rain fire all over the battlefield. And that's exactly what happens as he makes it rains, essentially healing my Pokemon, and suffers the consequences.
Nice. Oh my god, come on.
And folks, this match is over. Well, Basculegion is kind of scary, but also kind of manageable.
Let's go. Come on. One more.
The last resort is gonna kill Ninetales, but the sun is still shining, and so is Blastoise. My opponent may think they have a shot here with the last resort, but what they don't know is that I have Pokemon's best bear, and Crunch's hurt.
Oh man. If that doesn't do it, then what will? I mean, what will?
And it's truly beautiful that Ursaring takes out a Pokemon that exists and grows stronger because of dead allies. We had to deal with a lot of carnage to get here, especially if you've been around to see the Quaxley days. But this time, it's really different.
Get me to Ultra. Please, sweet God. I'm going crazy. We did it! Here, come up here. We did it. We did it. Ultra. 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 Ultra Ball to you, yeah. Ultra Ball. Ultra Ball tier, yeah. Ultra Ball tier, ranked him,
That took so long, oh my god. That was for you, Quaxley. This Ultra Ball was for you. And it only took 102 battles.
You can tell by my reaction just how much of a relief this was. I was getting pretty close to feeling really down and frankly just lost at sea. So after 102 battles, I've finally made it to Ultra Ball tier. I do initially struggle to get going.
We did it!
My opponents just really aren't surprised by Victory Bell anymore, and I realize that a change needs to be made. It also becomes obvious, since I haven't had Titan on the team, that Flutter Mane is our biggest problem. Without Titan, opponents know that they have no counter to Flutter Mane, and they can just outspeed Victory Bell, even with Chlorophyll up, and spoil my party. So one last modification needs to be made to take the team over the top. And that decision, in my opinion, needs to be made in a perfect mindset. I realize that if I want to win a championship with a bear, then I need to eat like a bear. So I decide that the best way to narrow down my decision is to travel all the way down to Hartsville, South Carolina, to the last remaining Yogi Bear's honey fried chicken. He's even better than Yogi the Bear. Not only does eating at this restaurant allow you to time travel back to 1965, but the absolutely delicious fried chicken will help you make challenging and difficult decisions. And I realized that the solution of my problem was the future friend to all of the Ursaring community, Houdini the Mimikyu. A Shadow Claw and a Shadow Sneak is enough to ruin Fluttermane's day, and with the addition of Helping Hand, I may even be able to take it out in one hit. Hopefully, our biggest problem is out of the way, so I guess let's do this Master Ball thing. The Mimikyu edition occurs after battle 130, and let's just say, I haven't exactly been lighting it up in the Ultra Ball tier. Not exactly dominating the scene, but really, not terrible all things considered. But I've added my Flutter Mane counter to the squad, so let's get into it. In the first battle after adding Houdini, I get Rock Slide hacked from every direction. And this Urshifu has to have some sort of defensive investment. I win the next battle, but I don't record it because the Rock Slide loss dropped me to the bottom of the tier. And the amount of battles I've recorded for this video almost put my poor external hard drive into cardiac arrest. But after that win, I know I need to record the third battle in this sequence because who knows? And while looking over my opponent's team, I realized that he really doesn't have much of an answer for Comfey. But I, of course, have the Focus Sash, and I've thrown the highly useful knockoff on Comfey for situations like this. So I pimp slap Golden Go across the face, finish him off, and proceed to make this man's life a living hell as I dog walk him across the battlefield. So we are now 3-1 since adding Houdini the Mimikyu to the group. We're halfway up the Ultra Ball tier, and it looks like 2 wins in a row gets us to Master Ball. But this battle carries a little extra significance because it's my first battle against a celebrity or globally known superstar. I don't know about you, but whenever I see the name KG out in the wild, it can only mean one thing: Kevin Garnett. And Kevin Garnett may be an NBA champion, Hollywood actor, and world-renowned public speaker, but we all know what really matters in life, and that's Pokemon battling. So Kevin Garnett has a funky little group here. It seems to be built around hard-hitting psychic types, but I know the Pincurchin lays down the electric terrain when it switches in, so I'm not expecting to see a psychic terrain. Either way, Ursaring causes problems to both those types, so I'm feeling confident. I lead Smokey and Comfey to get the party started, with Fergie and Pawmod in the back. He leads Raichu and Talonflame, and I'm doing a confusion right now because I do not know how to approach this. I end up clicking Crunch on the Raichu and knock off with Comfey on Talonflame at the last second. This backfires immediately as he tears his Raichu to reduce the Crunch damage and Tailwinds with Talonflame. And of course I knock off exactly nothing from this Talonflame. I was surprised that Comfey lived this Electro Ball though. I opt to go for a Body Slam on Talonflame because I'm thinking Comfey is gonna move first and take out the Raichu. I nearly high horsepower though, and this comes back to bite me as he switches Raichu for Pincurchin. And there's your electric terrain. Comfey soaks up a very little amount of health, and here comes the acrobatics. Okay, I've got a Body Slam coming, let's get one back.
Jesus.
So Comfey's down, he's got the speed control, and I'm in a little bit of a pickle here. Ursaring has been dishing out damage everywhere though, and I do still have the element of surprise with my Terra. In comes Pawmot, and I have no reason not to click the high horsepower on Pincurchin and protect with Pawmot. I'd also like to quickly point out that I haven't revealed the high horsepower yet. I've just gotta live the incoming acrobatics, and That did absolutely nothing. And we of course stomped the living shit out of this Pincurchin.
Come on.
That sounds like it would hurt, but not Ursaring, man, he's a beast. And so far, outside of a Comfey knockoff, Ursaring has done the entirety of damage on my opponent's team. But he still has one more turn of Tailwind, so I've got to be careful with Palmot here. I end up clicking the Body Slam on Raichu, thinking it's gonna be enough to kill, with a Palmot Thunder Punch on Talonflame. And then this happens. And this match is suddenly gonna come down to whether Palmot can live this attack here. That was close. But this is before I realized this.
I think we gotta be able to do it after that, right? Oh, I forgot he had an extra Pokemon. What am I doing?
I thought I'd taken out 3 Pokemon already. Great, so I've now got an entirely new problem on my hands with this Iron Leaves. And this is when I make a fantastic discovery.
105, 104.
Palmot is faster than Iron Leaves by 1 point. Good God.
Damn it. Should've protected, I'm stupid.
But Iron Leaves is down, and crucially, I have my Grass Terra activated on Ninetales. I come to the realization that this Raichu is probably Choice Specs, so I think we're in the clear here. This one went back and forth a good bit, but we pull it out.
Come on.
So now I'm 3-1 since adding Mimikyu to the team, and we're 1 win away from completing the challenge, and getting this close to being over the finish line makes me just a little bit nervous. So much so that I even forget to bring Ursaring for this battle. It's one thing to have one battle without Ursaring early on while I'm still team testing, but I'd be nothing but a fraud if I didn't have Ursaring for the final battle. So I'm actually kind of glad I ended up losing this battle. And what you're about to see, in my opinion, is one of the dumbest and funniest ways you can possibly lose this challenge. Anyways, here we go.
No. Okay. Okay. Got time for a couple more battles. Let's see what happens.
So it's battle 136. I'm back in the middle of the Ultra Ball tier, and young Barajas here has a team loaded with threats. We've got the Golden Go, we've got the Indeedee, we've got my rival Urshifu, and we've got Incineroar with a pair of defensive walls. We're in for a good one here. So, he leads Indeedee and Urshifu like an asshole, and I lead Blastoise with my guy Smokey. Psychic Surge, of course, gets activated, and my brain gets deactivated. Don't hit the fake out, don't hit the fake out, don't hit the fake out! He hit the fake out. And Crunch with Smokey. Indeedee gets the helping hand up to boost Urshifu's attack, and I'm starting to realize the magnitude of my dumbass mistake. Because we're gonna have to take a boosted Urshifu attack now. And... wait. Even with a helping hand boost, this Urshifu cannot touch Ursaring. Smokey is out here eating Surging Strikes like it's breakfast, man. It's just like Yogi Bear's fried chicken. I end up clicking Crunch with Blastoise on Indeedee and Body Slam on Urshifu. But unfortunately, this Surging Strikes is gonna be enough to take my man Smokey down. But that's completely fine as long as this Blastoise Crunch kills, and I'm 100% certain it will. It definitely won't.
Damn it.
Not exactly the start we were looking for. I throw in Ninetales instead of the Urshifu killer Comfey, looking for some weather momentum. I've also got the Grass Terra and the Solar Beam, of course. Yeah, let's try that, along with a Weather Ball on Indeedee. Fergie does a fine job eating some Surging Strikes, and here comes the Solar Beam.
Okay.
And we are back, baby.
Come on, you. Oh, are you serious?
But that's incredibly disappointing. But here comes the Moose and Stanley Cup fusion that is Ting Lu, and knowing that I absolutely do not know what this Moose is gonna do, I make an interesting decision here. I switch out Blastoise for Comfey, and Willow Hit has no trouble contacting the Ting Lu. I don't have Smokey with the high horsepower anymore, so I'm gonna need all the help I can get. And I should go for damage with Ninetales on the Indeedee, so I can go ahead and knock off the Ting Lu, but I surprisingly go with an Overheat here that really doesn't have a lot of value. I see the helping hand from Indeedee, and my Overheat does close to nothing.
That did absolutely nothing. Holy shit, I should have knocked him off.
But that little bit of damage could come in handy, who knows. But Indeedee goes down, and with the Throat Chop, Ninetales offers little to no offensive threat at this point. The Golden Go finds its way onto the battlefield, and I'm about to make an all-time shitty play that ends up turning out okay. I hit the Draining Kiss on Tinglu, knowing it's not gonna do a damn thing, but if I can get back to full health, I can reactivate my Focus Sash. And like I said, even in the sun, Fergie doesn't offer much offensively here. So naturally, I completely forget that Golden Go is immune to status conditions, and make what could have been a challenge-altering mistake.
Oh, it doesn't do status. Okay.
That is somehow immediately rectified. I am one lucky bastard. I don't get the Focus Sash back, but a Heavy Slam from Tinglu is not gonna be enough to take the Comfey out with a burn. I decide on keeping Ninetales in and go for one last overheat on the Golden Go, thinking that with a knockoff as well on the Golden Go, I'll be able to take Golden Go out and be one step closer. But as you can see, that is not what happens. It was definitely not the best play for me, but I end up incredibly unlucky here with a crit on the Heavy Slam.
All right.
And the last bullet in my chamber here is the turtle flamethrower himself, Blastoise. And what occurs next can't be described other than a Mexican standoff between me and Barajas here. I eat a Shadow Ball, no big deal, and take a little damage from the Throat Chop. Now, with my current moveset, I really don't have anything that can critically damage the moose here. So it's time to thank my lucky stars that I burned this thing, and I can start to whittle it down. I go with a Flash Cannon, just thinking Tinglu probably has lower special defense than defense. It eats it well, but I get that stat drop, and I can definitely tell this is gonna come down to the wire. In the moment, these next few turns really felt like a dozen turns, but it was really 3 or 4. But eventually,
What a ridiculous game.
the flamethrower turtle comes through.
Get down, you big moose bastard. Oh my god.
And man, oh man, we are one win away again.
This would be so nice to get it right now. 137. Come on, baby. Come on, baby. Give me a good roll. Give me a good roll.
It is now battle number 137, and if you guessed based on the video length, you are correct. This is gonna be our winning ticket here. And although we don't have an overly dramatic, down to the last health point battle here, we do have a highly entertaining one. You see, we're gonna be facing a team that seems to really want to function like the Articuno team that won the Utrecht Regional earlier this year. I had to double check, but this battle did occur before that tournament. So although there might not be a direct influence, it seems like Cody here wants to do the exact same thing as that team. Get Snow and Aurora Veil up with a Alolan Ninetales and then spam Blizzard. The only problem with this, of course, is that my opponent here is facing my Ursaring team. Let's see what happens. So he leads Glaceon, who may or may not be cosplaying as Articuno here, and Alolan Ninetales. I go ahead and lead Blastoise and Palmot and stash Ninetales and Ursaring in the back. And unfortunately for this Glaceon, we're not gonna let it do whatever the hell it wants to do.
Keep it simple, stupid.
I've gotten this far, and I've overthought so many moves. So this time I just switch in the Smokin' Hot Fergie to ruin his Ice Fergie's Aurora Veil plans, and go for close combat on Glaceon.
1 down.
Okay, we're in business. So in comes Blissey, and truthfully I have no idea what it wants to do, but I also know it probably can't hurt me. I do think Ninetales switches out, so I decide to utilize the Palmot speed that we talked about earlier by targeting the Blissey for another close combat, and overheat on the Ninetales side.
This is gonna hurt whatever comes out.
Out comes Malamar, and I'm sure he's about to have a good time. Here we go.
Let's go. Does this end Malamar as well?
So we've got a Blissey down, a Malamar on fire, and I'm starting to feel like it's only a matter of time here. Out comes the Alolan Ninetales, and I just target the Malamar because I know I'm faster. And switch out Ninetales in case I have a weather emergency, and bring out the best bear. He tears the Ninetales as I take down Malamar, but folks, strap in your seatbelts because my man finally got his Aurora Veil off. It only took like a half dozen turns. And it's time for Ursaring to end this challenge the best way he possibly can. With the power of friendship. Yep, that is how we did it, folks.
Palmot. With a little helping hand. Was that a sweep? Oh. Cody, get out of here. Maybe? I don't know. Maybe? Am I crazy? Sorry. Come on, dude. Let's go.
High five, Rosie. High five. Good girl. This felt like a massive milestone at the time, and if I'm being honest, still does. It was a lot of fun getting Ursaring and the rest of the team to this point, and I look forward to doing the next challenge. I've definitely got to find a way to get these videos out sooner. I'm working on that, and I am planning on releasing more and more content in a more timely manner. Anyways, I hope you had as much fun as I did with this challenge, and have a wonderful day.